everybody. Dr. Carey here. Had a dilemma over the weekend and had this video all set to go, locked, loaded, ready to upload, and working on my daughter's YouTube channel. She's got a Pokemon channel, and working on that with all of her video clips and stuff, putting her video together. I deleted all her old stuff after I had her video uploaded, and lo and behold, when I deleted all her stuff, I deleted this video. So here I am doing it again. Luckily, I had an extra body because the other body is already to this point. So I'm gonna go over with this body. I'll just mark on this body, kind of show you what I did to get to the other body to that point where it's at, and show you how I marked everything out and everything. I'm not gonna actually cut this top, but I'll show you how I marked everything out, and then kind of go through the other top to get it, show you where I am on that one. Okay, I'm not going to mark up both sides of the roof, but you want to make your markings like these. Measure it out on both sides of the roof. This side here, this side, and then A pillar here, C pillar here. I took a quick picture. I'm going to insert it before this. That way you can see how I measured it out. Hope I'm not too quiet for you guys. I got everybody sleeping above me, so I'm trying to not talk too loud to wake everybody up. But this roof is marked out the same way I had the other one. Like I say, I'm not going to cut this one, but I'll show you. When, you'll get the idea how to do it. But if you have a razor saw similar to this one, this is a Zona saw. Z-O-N-A. I found their saws to work pretty good, and I've kind of stuck by what they have. They also make a saw that's a little bit shorter than this, about half of the size. But I like using this one for chopping a lot because you can get in there and cut deeper with it. Especially when you're cutting like a recorder or something. You got a long ways to travel with it. It's nice to have a deeper saw to cut with. But all you're going to do here is you're going to cut the lines, cut everything apart like I already have. But what I usually do is I start on the bottom, the very bottom line, which would be that one right there. I always cut the bottom first, and then once the roof is off, I cut the other excess off once the roof is off the roof or off the car. But what you're going to do is just, sit the saw in place and score it, draw it back, get it started where you can cut everything apart. When you cut the roof off, anything with a vent window, I always cut the vent window off at the very bottom, right here. Cut it here, and then when the roof is off, and you cut these pieces, cut these sections out to get your roof height where you want it. As you set the roof back into place, push these vent windows inside the body, that way it sits down, that way you can get an idea as to where your roof line lines up. Being that I've got this available, this is kind of what I mean. Once the roof section's already cut, this vent window is going to hang down. What you're going to want to do is when you test fit it to the roof, kind of getting the horse ahead of the cart here, or the cart ahead of the horse here. But when you're test fitting, you want to bring that A pillar or that vent window down inside the body to give you an idea of where your roof's going to lie at. And then when you're done, you can mark that vent window and cut that off accordingly, to where that will then come back into place where it should be. You can see there how much I took out of the front pillar on those, but we'll get to that in a minute. So like I said, once all this is cut off, cut your A pillar at the bottom, or your vent window at the bottom. Cut everything away. I'd cut these probably after you cut these, and then cut this, and then cut this. That way you're not running the risk of snapping this off somewhere you don't want it snapped off at. The only reason why I cut it at the bottom is when you go to put it back together again, you won't have this cut in half to where you have a separation point in it. Cutting it at the bottom, you've only got the one location or the one point where it's going to be, you know, cut in half. And it's easier to glue it but down here and work with it with bare metal foil on later than trying to work with it up here, because then you run the risk of snapping it or having that line show up through your bare metal foil. It's just, you know, you just want it to look good. So then once you're done when you have the rough cut off in your hand, cut these pieces off so that you get your section that you want, this section here, out of there. And then you're going to want to cut your roof across and then cut your roof down through the middle to where you have 4 separate pieces of your roof in hand. And at that point you should be ready to start sanding, kind of cleaning it up, prepping it, getting it kind of squared up, ready to go back onto the car. I'm holding all the pieces back together right now, but when you get done you should have something that looks like this. Once your pieces are trimmed off your roof, it should have the vent post hanging down below, your A pillar and C pillar cut to where you want it. You want to test fit this just to kind of get an idea of your side profile. And then I'm not going to be able to do it with the roof in multiple pieces here. Ta-da! Got a piece of tape out, tape it. A little bit better to handle it this way. I want to show you a couple of things here to kind of give you an idea of why you need to cut these pieces in here. For those of you that haven't chopped the top yet, you may not get the idea yet, or you understand the idea of it, of why you need to cut this and cut it down the middle of the roof. Reason being is when you go to line up your A pillars, you get everything lined up where you want it. Holding that in place, keeping it in place, you drop your roof in place, back your section of your roof in place. You see now how you have this step in it. And then you have a step here. That's why you need to cut this piece across, because now this whole back section of the roof has to slide back and come back to line up with these places again. That way you have the proper angle on it. That's why you cut the section acrossways. And likewise, with that C pillar lined up, you now have a gap on the other side. So you need to bring this out to here. That's why you cut it down the middle, to widen the roof out to where everything lines back up again. Now in some cars like the Mercs, the old sweatback cars, the 51 Fleet lines and Oldsmobiles and things of that nature, when you get back into some of those roofs are a kind of a bear to cut, because you have so many compound curves in it, either side to side or front to back. To cut it apart, blow it apart, and then get it to go all back into place the way you want it, it's kind of tricky to get the flow to look right on the older cars, but you can do it. I mean, practice with stuff like this for a while, and then you can start to kind of jump around different genres of cars at different eras and years, and play around with different ideas and come up with your own style and way, or however you do it. Now, like I say, at this point, once you've got everything chopped, before cutting everything apart, I just set it together just to kind of get an idea of your side profile. That's not what you want. Kind of tricky doing it this way, but that'll give you an idea of how your side profile is going to look. I'm holding the front too high. There it is. The gap from here to here, from here to here, you can see how the roof is actually kind of tipped down a little bit now. Leveled it off instead of having that roof line, looking like this. It's now sitting level with the lower sill or the upper sill of the door. But that's where the side profile is going to kind of be sitting at. Okay, with that in mind, you should now be sitting there with the roof. Once you cut the crossways, cut it crossways and cut it front and back, you should have 4 pieces looking something like this. You're not going to have them identical to this because you're not cutting a 62 Electra, you're probably cutting something else, but getting the idea of what I'm doing here, you got 4 pieces. Now when this all goes back together, I've already got these sanded and cleaned up. That's the other thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to sand all this and clean up all the residue from when you cut it. You're going to want to square it up. You don't have to square it the best. We can square it up as we're putting it back together again, but where'd that piece go? There it is. But lining up the A-pillar, getting that in line, and then bringing the C-pillar back to where it should be. It's gonna be right about there. That's the gap you're gonna have to fill, front to back. It's about a 1/4 inch gap. And I'm gonna use the back piece of the roof. They're easier to hold. Note to self, don't use a terry cloth rag when you're doing this because everything sticks to the thing. Alright. Of course, I'm not using my normal backdrop when I do this like I should be, but yeah, you know. Now when you line up the C-pillars, this roof you're not going to have that big of a gap, but you are going to have that much of a little bit of a gap. Once everything's lined up, you're only going to have probably 1/16 of an inch of fill piece on that, like a strip. But you do need to line it out, otherwise you're going to have a, I don't know how well you can see it. Let me see if I can do this here. Lining up this side, you can see the step here. And that's your gap that you got to fill. Not much, but that little bit right there will mess it up. Like I said, I don't know how well you can see that little bit of a step here. But so at this point, your car should be looking something like this. 4 pieces on the table and your body with the roof cut off of it. It's not too late. We can always add the front half of this windshield frame back on here and make it into a convertible if we want. We can cut off the rest of these C-pillars and make a nice 62 convertible, but we're not about that. We're going to chop it up and put a roof back on it, right? We had a little fun with it. But with that in mind, I'm going to cut it off here. Get this ready to upload, and no, this time I'm not going to delete it. We'll get it put on hopefully sometime today for y'all. That way you can see it. And with that in mind, hope you all are having a good day, and thanks for watching. Thanks to all my subscribers. Thanks to everyone who's been part of the channel so far. I see it continues to grow, and hopefully it continues to grow even more. And appreciate everybody for comments. Appreciate everybody for just being around, sticking around, and watching my stuff. So with that in mind, have a good day, everyone. Like and subscribe if you would. Hit the notification bell to be alerted of new videos coming out. And enjoy the weather wherever you are. Have a good day. We'll see you in the corner.